Hi, hello, good morning. It is the 4th of January. I went to the council house yesterday and there was a bit of an issue with what day of the week it was. At the moment, for some reason, Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council are having issues with their systems. So luckily I managed to go to town and it gave me just enough time to do so because I had a lift from a friend. But I just felt like I was in the council house forever, just trying to hand in some documents that they've been requesting since last November. But because of all the postal strikes, I just figured it would be easier to take them in person. So this was probably going to be my second blog of the year with regards to my living with bile acid malabsorption. I am back in my office, yay! As you can see from the picture on the wall, I'm in the bathroom. My eldest son has gone back to school. My youngest two are not in mainstream education because of their age and the other because of his SEN needs. So because I'm having such a bad day, which is the abbreviation of bile acid malabsorption, or bile acid diarrhea, I'm having a very bad day. I've basically just said to the kids, look, you can have a free day today. I am not going to be homeschooling anybody right now. So today is what I would class as a personal physical education day, where the children have got to engage with one another positively and learn to share and interact with one another and make sure that they use their words and not their fists. Because one of the problems I do have with my son who has autism is he finds it difficult to express himself verbally at times. He's not non-verbal, but at times he does struggle. And if he wants something or needs something, he would rather hit you to get your attention than say, hey, Mom, I need your help, or I want to play with that toy. It won't be, I want to play with that toy. Could I have it, please? When you're finished, he will just snatch. And one of the main issues we did have with him in mainstream education was that he was hitting, kicking, spitting, biting, and punching people. So at home, when I'm having what I class as a really bad day, it's kind of the opportunity to allow the boys, even though they know where I am, now that they're a little bit more older, to have what I call a personal physical education day. So it will be, okay, you're allowed to have the TV on, but it can only be educational programs. And you've got to play with your Lego or your Mega Blocks or your train set, and you've got to build me a bridge. You've got to build me a building out of Mega Blocks or out of Lego. And I allow them to use their creativity to make stuff. And hopefully when I go back downstairs, I can take some photographs of what they've achieved. And one of the things my son loves to do after he's built things is to get the ruler out and start measuring them. So it's kind of a maths day is what it ends up turning into. So he likes to measure the height, he likes to measure the width, he likes to measure the dimensions of what he's built. He likes to use graph paper and try and plot it all out. He did have a laptop, but over Christmas, unfortunately, my children decided to break their laptop by not sharing, and also 2 mobile phones. So they've all been told that any homeschooling they will be in receipt of for at least the next 6 months is not going to be via a laptop or an iPhone or an iPad, because it's probably going to cost me 6 months of savings to buy a new one. But what that does then mean is that my children are able to engage more in manual dexterity. They can learn how to read, they can learn how to write. And what I have found is by playing with Lego or train sets, it's helped with the pincer grip, which is that kind of movement. And so that's one of the things that they are sort of getting practice with. And myself, like I said, I'm having a bad day. Because I did have to go to the council house yesterday, I took all my medication and it enabled me to get from town and home again, which was probably a good thing considering the toilets that I tried to use publicly were out of use. I want to mention that the toilets I tried to use publicly that were out of use were not in Nuneaton, they were actually in Hinckley. Because I had a friend help me, I went shopping, and the toilets in Sainsbury's in Hinckley were not in working order. I then tried to use the toilets at Costa Coffee, which was just over the road from Sainsbury's in Hinckley on the Crescent, and they were absolutely disgusting, and the staff there were like, you don't need to be rude to us. And I'm like, well, do your job, you know. And I know I can get a little bit opinionated and a bit on my high horse, but if you have got a food establishment and there's 5 members of staff standing there chewing gum, not serving a customer, and then as a customer I go in to use their toilet facilities and the floor is completely wet, the toilet is full of piss, the toilet seat had been weed on, my little boy, he lifted up the toilet lid to go to the toilet, that had all been weed on, the sink was, you couldn't even use the sink to wash your hands, that's how bad it was. And I just said, look, you know, don't think I'm spending like 5 to 6 quid on a cup of coffee from you guys if you can't even bother to clean the toilets. And one of my golden rules is that if the toilet facilities in any establishment are not maintained properly, I will not want to eat there, I will not want to shop there. And it's not rocket science. For up until I was a mother, my main job was cleaning. And I used to have to clean public toilets. And sometimes, yeah, you'd go in and you'd think, oh my God, how can people be just so gross? But then you'd do it because it's your job. And once I'd cleaned the toilets, not that I would do it, not myself personally, but I was very kind of like methodical in my work. And I never had a complaint, touched wood to this day, about the toilets not being clean. And that was both the men's and the women's that I had to clean. And the only one of the reasons I refused to do the men's anymore was because I was sexually assaulted when I cleaned the men's toilets for a company I work for. And I told them I was attacked, and they went, well, if you don't want to do the job, you know where the door is. So I know I've kind of digressed from talking about my bad day to other things, but because it all seems to be toilet related, I've kind of included it. So it's all good and well having bile acid malabsorption and being told by the Department of Work and Pensions, for example, oh, there's nothing stopping you going out if there are toilet facilities available. Well, there's a difference between having toilet facilities available and them actually being usable. Okay, I mean, if I'm in the bathroom like I am today, I'm probably in the toilet for a good half an hour. I do not want to be using a public toilet for half an hour if I can't even put my feet on the floor and I've got to clean the toilet before I can even use it. You know, so it's, again, that's one of the other reasons why I'm very reluctant to go out, because I know that if toilet facilities aren't maintained properly, the last thing I want to do is have a bad day in a public toilet and then find out that I can't flush the chain. And I know it sounds really gross, but I have had that happen. So one of the other things I get into the habit of doing whenever I use public toilets is I will flush the chain before using it, just to basically make sure the damn thing flushes properly. Because I've had it where, you know, even when I've done my test, as I call it, and I've flushed the chain, and it's been that blocked that it's flooded the toilets. And I've had to go and try and find maintenance staff and say, look, you know, your toilets are blocked. They need sorting out. They need maintaining. And what's happening, which a lot of people may or may not be aware of, is a lot of private public toilets are being closed because of the cost of maintenance. So in Nuneaton, the the only sort of public toilets available in my hometown are in the bus station. And again, the others are probably, I think they're in the rope walk, but you've got to go up an escalator to use them. So when there's only 2 places in a town where they are classed as a public facility, and then you would maybe have to go and pay to use one in a restaurant or McDonald's or Costa's or Nero's or somewhere, and you go in there and those toilets are not clean, are you really going to want to be spending £5 to £6 on a cup of coffee when they cannot even be bothered to like provide toilet roll or, you know, clean the loos? So I think as somebody who does suffer with a health problem where toilet facilities are a necessity, I mean, obviously they're a necessity for everyone, but when you have a problem like myself, they are like a medical necessity, then like any medical service that is provided, hygiene is important. So I'm going to stop there now because I'm waffling. And I just wanted to say, like, Happy New Year again to everybody. And so far, everything is the way it was last year. It's not really changed. But at the same time, you know, I have tried to make more of an assertive effort to go out. But now I feel like I'm back to square one again because the toilet facilities were either not available or they were not usable. So I'll see how I go throughout the year. Again, you know, I do tend to use a lot of social media, even though I do struggle because of my dyslexia. But I feel that that's not an excuse that people like myself maybe couldn't have a job working from home. It's just unfortunate that I am homeschooling my children and my son has SEN needs, so they have to come first. But if I was able to find a suitable job where I could work from home, maybe I could do that in the future. Thank you.